just reaching for a piece of you.
Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, we've spent a little bit of time chopping off some wood. Couple of techniques that you wouldn't have seen, because I was probably on this side. Just zoom in close here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to trim away everything but what belongs to the re-ring or the reinforcement ring here. So you can see these little sections here, the light sections. That's the part of the shell, whereas the darker ones are actually part of the re-ring. So what I was doing before is I was chopping down like this just to get away the big blocks of material till I can get it down to this kind of a process. And with my blade again, I'm actually just scraping. If I just focus on this area only, I'm just scraping that back, and you can see scraping the light stuff off, and I'm back to the original re-ring. Same here, like that. Here's a little spot that I went too far. Just here, it's a little, kind of a bit of a dish in it. Just by chopping here, I was cutting down from this side, actually, the top side. And as I cut, it obviously went in there too far. You will see that on the bearing edge, but you'll only see it until I finish the bearing edge. When I've finished, you won't even be able to find that. So, now, here we go. We've got our rings, we've got our shell. Jump back over the top again, I'll show you again. Here is our scarf joint. So the scarf joint, two pieces, they come together on the inside. How they go in is like this. So you hop in there and have a look. So the big one goes in, this one comes back on the outside edge. We pull it out and clamp it in, and that's adjust it to the top, and then that's finished. This one was different because there is no join. The join that was original remains original and intact. You can see that there. So I will be putting that the same way as the original. If you look on the inside here, there's the original join. And so when I insert this one, I'll line those two up like that. Now, how do we get these in? It's a little bit tricky. I start from one side. So I'm going to put that in like this side, exaggerated. And then I'm going to very gradually push the shell on the underside with my fingers while pushing the ring the other way. Push the shell, pull the ring very gradually until it just pops in. Like that. Now, I'm not going to push it down all the way because I haven't got any glue on there yet. I'll get some glue. I might use, there's two kinds I can use. This and this. Epoxy, that's awesome glue. Or like a tech grip. This one kind of expands. Both are waterproof, both are pretty bulletproof really. I prefer epoxy, but I don't think I got enough left to do this, so I'll probably have to go out and get some to do that. It's about 20 bucks a tube. Same thing, I'll put it on, I'll show you how I do it, but essentially I just mount it upside down and I actually just push down on a flat surface, and that trues this with the lead edge, which is that edge there. And then all I'm actually going to do after that is just put a new bearing edge on. So let me just adjust this out. Now getting it out, you gotta be careful you don't bust the inner edge of the shell. So just lift it up gradually. So there's really not even enough room for a piece of paper between the two. That's how it should be. And it'll be just like new. Okay, that's that. So I thought I'd glue them up anyway. Had a bit of glue here. This glue. It's really crappy stuff, so I wear gloves. Just because it's so sticky. It was a bit dried out, but in the top part, but it's all good now. So I'm just going to put a very smooth little bead all the way around, and then I'll dress that little bead up. That looks pretty close. Again, something like this is fine. Just make sure you're spreading it. It's probably hard for you to see, but I'm just spreading that evenly, like a fine film. I don't want buckets of this coming off when I put it in, so I'm trying to keep it as smooth and even as I can. I just want a good covering. Looks pretty close. I was going to use epoxy, but yeah, decided it's not worth the trip out when I've got this one here already. Okay, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there, but I'm just spreading it, much like if you're spreading butter on a piece of bread, and you're just wanting a nice even coat, so no gaps, no dry spots that you can see anyway. Got our little tom. I'm matching my joins. So the join on that one is there, on this side here. So I'm going to orientate that around there, trying to keep the glue off me. I push that into one side like I showed you before. And now I'm just going to walk the little edge around. All the way, like so. That's actually pretty good where it is. I know I said I was going to flip it. Oh look, why not? Let's just flip it. Just something flat on the bottom. You can see I've already got that half in. It's all the way around. Just going to put that on here, push down. The reason I'm doing it this way is just so I get a nice even coverage. Good. We've got our glue. Just take any of this glue already off, because it's a real pain in the neck to get off later. So I use little scrapers or whatever we got. Throw it in the bin. I've got just a bin down underneath. So just as much off as you can get. Ta-da! Now, just checking my edge. It's a fairly steep slope here from the outer edge. I don't want to lose any depth, so I'm going to push this ring down evenly, a few mil first. Now I need to check it because it's got to be precise. I don't want to dirty that one, so I'm going to use this one. Again, probably hard for you to see what I'm doing, but okay, so the bearing edge itself comes right out onto this corner out here. So it's going to cut across on a 45. So rather than actually cut the shell down, I want to cut this inner edge off and build my edge out, which is why I'm setting this down a little bit. Once I've got a number here, I can actually transfer that to the top. Okay, it looks like it's going to be about 58. I can do it very simply by tapping back the opposite side. 58. Going to go halfway around. 58. Quarter. 58. Back to that side there. Well, that one's 60. So let me just check. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Just down a little on that corner. All right, very happy with how that looks. Good. Other thing, I just want to make sure there's no buildup of glue on that inside. That looks all pretty nice, actually. Okay, so there we go. Re-ring is in place. We've matched up our two joins, this one here and this one here. We've got that 5mm difference in lug position. I don't think too many people are going to notice. Let's just get the next one rolling. Same thing, I've got some glue on my table already, so I'm going to use that. Just spread that over here. This stuff's thick like honey. And it's about as sticky as honey too. Okay, that's pretty good. Just moving this all the way around. Glue, 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 around to there. Just getting the last bit on. You can see I'm just moving that in. Again, make sure there's no dry spots if possible. And you do that, I'm using the light that's coming in through the door here to make sure that the calibration of that glue it's evenly spread. Got it in the right spots. If there's something that's a bit low, just fixing that up too. Okay, that's pretty good. So how do we get this back in here? Remember, join line, finding my join, which is over here. I'm just going to line those two up. About there. Looks pretty good. I can feel I got lots of glue on my fingers. So just going to wipe stuff off. So again, join line. We've got that relatively set up where we want it. I'm going to push this one down by fingers this time. As opposed to flipping it over on the table like last time. It's all going in exactly as I thought, so there's no dramas or anything. Only thing we do have to keep an eye on, remember there was that one little spot that I took a little chunk out, and I just want to make sure I dress that properly. Yeah, sticky glue. Another reason for keeping this on so we don't get glue all over it. I'm just going to wipe the glue. Roughly like that. Get this down a little bit more. We're working on about 68, I think. 58, sorry. Perfect. We're right on the money again. Just check I've got a similar kind of depth. It's pretty good. So last thing I need to do with that, before I let you go again, is I got that little hole I needed to fill. Now I'm just going to use a little bit of this glue. It is a bit of a filling glue. When I say a little bit, it is a little bit, it's like a drop. But when we come back, you'll actually see why. Because this stuff expands. It just blows up. So that's my little hole just there. Normally I'd put epoxy in, but I don't want to put epoxy in. So that's that. This drum's all done. Everything's done. We'll come back when that's dry and we'll trim them all up. Cheers. All right, welcome back. Come on in, let's have a look. These are all dry. If you look in here nice and close, you can see a couple of things. You can see this overburden of glue that's come out on all our lines. That shows you that there's glue 100% on the inside of all of these things. Also, if we look at the angle here, actually I'll show you this side. If we look at our bearing edge, you'll see the bearing edge comes along like this, and it's really close out here to that edge. See, that's right out near here, so you've probably got, that's the apex. You've probably got 1 is to 4/5 on that, which is why on this side we kept this re-ring down because it's already got a 45-degree edge, and we're going to take this little part off here and get it out there so we're 1/5 and 4/5 on the inside. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing I want to show you is how they've laid up this veneer in here. Come in close again. Now you'll see Pearl has this is the drum shell here, that's the re-ring, this is the shell. It's got this inner ply here of maple running through there like that. You'll see it goes all the way to that part. This is actually, this one here is the beginning of it. So that one goes all the way around the drum, back in, and then back down through to there. Then they've got another 2mm veneer here, length grain, and that's been scarf jointed, and that creates the single ply. That one plus that one is a 2-ply. And then you've got another one which is in reverse. It's got a 2mm thick here, and here is where it begins, and it goes all the way around and then back the other way. Those 2 plies are joined together, and then our rings on the inside. So that's how they do that layup. It's pretty cool. What that means is this is one hell of a solid drum. Now, on the inside, if you look down in here, a couple of things that I've done. I've put my rings back in, and then I've just gone around and put some wood filler like this, and I've just pushed it into anything that's left there, just so that it looks exactly the same, which is what they've done here on their original one. Okay, now how do I get that last bit off? Just a little bit of steel wool like this. This one's fairly coarse, but it's all I've got, so I'm going to use it because I am a professional. No, here we go, something soft on the bottom, and you'll see steel wool, it'll actually get rid of that overburden quite nicely, and it starts to clean that up. I can also use a blade like this, and I can actually just scrape that away. I can also use sandpaper if I wish as well, just to clean up the edges there. Now, I can't see it, so let me have a look. Yeah, that's pretty good. That'll come up nice. You'll see there's some dark coloring on it. That's actually just from the steel wool color. That will all come up good. So, to progress really quickly, what I'm going to do is now just cut these edges. This one here I've already trued. How did I true that? Now, I'm going to do these drums without using my slab of granite and without using my inverted router and spinning it on the drum. I want to show you another way to do it. This is for the guys. It's 99% accurate. That little bit of difference, you're not going to notice it. No one else is either. First thing, little block plane. You can use a larger plane if you have it. The important thing with a block plane is that you've got the cutting edge and you've got this back edge of the plane, is it needs to sit rigid, right? Nice and firm. If you look straight through here, you'll see that actually sits flat on that edge. Now, all I'm going to do is actually pass this around and keep pushing this around the drum to cut a smooth edge, which I've actually already done on this 12. But let's have a look at the 10. On the 10 here, I've set this fairly fine. It is relatively sharp. Now, I'm actually just going to start pushing this around to smooth the edge. If you come in close, what you'll notice is I've got a cut line. It's cut, cut, cut. Then I've got some low spots here. As I move around, you'll see that those low spots will disappear. And I'm keeping this flat. I'm not tipping it. It's flat. The smaller the drum, the harder this actually is to do. And equally, when you get to big drums, it's hard because this won't actually sit on an edge, right? So from 12, 13s, 14s are great. But once you get over that, it starts getting a bit crazy. Now, I'm also taking off very, very, very fine shavings. I don't know if you can see how fine that is. Just in here. Super, super, super fine. So we're talking about probably, I don't know, 1/10 of a millimeter, even less in a shave. So the probability of error is very low. It's really just taking out any discrepancy that was off the saw blade. Remember when we spun it through the saw? Okay, have a quick look now. Follow my finger around, you'll see it's all smooth here. Over here we've got a low spot still, a low spot, low, low, a couple of lows, and then we're fairly smooth back around here. That means everything else has to come down except for the low spots. So I'm going to start at the low spot and move around. Again, super, super fine amount coming off. Not much at all. Okay, at that stage, I'm pretty happy with it. Have a quick look. Follow my finger again. It's all very smooth. Tiny little bit there. Not much else. Now, how do we know it's true? It's a good question to ask for any discerning drum builder out there. Okay, let me first say this probably isn't too flat. It's not a slab of granite. It's probably not too flat, but how flat is it? We need to cover 12 inches, this. Okay, I'm looking on that. That's dead flat that way. It's also dead flat this way. Now, if I'm spinning it, I can see a little, probably the thickness of a page on that angle. probably the same there, but the outer sides are all good. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's see how true this already is. Okay, that's pretty good. So because it's cut off, there's no movement there. So this is actually what we're going to use to true our edges after I cut them with the router. Let's cut them with the router. What do we need? 45-degree bearing edge. Here's our bearing edge. There's our cutter. That's 45. You see it's quite heavy on that inside and only little on the outside. We're going to cut the inside one first, finish with the outside, and then do a slight round over. Need a trimmer, a router, like this. Need some power. Don't plug it in till you got your thing done, just in case. These have switches here, see? If the switch is left on, it'll go. I don't know which way it is at the moment, so don't plug it in, or you might lose some fingers. All right, so just come in nice and close, you can see what's happening. Just undoing that. I tap it just to loosen that, take that cutter out. Don't put your cutters on that metal bench like I just did, because I'll get wrecked. Put them away in their box. Just going to tighten that up to just a little bit more than finger tight. The bigger the cutter, the more metal spinning. When it spins, the more metal, the bigger the circumference, the more vibration. Just keep that in mind. How do I set this up? Well, I'm going to plug this in. Twice, actually. Okay, no power. This is what happens if it's left on. Here's the switch, it's left on. And we put that in, nothing. Let me turn power on. Now we have power. Let's see what happens if this kicks up. See it moving? So the reason I show that is, see how it's moving quite quick? That's actually because it's heavy. So just be mindful that these things do cut, and they will cut you. All right, so let's set this up. I want to go just shy of the edge. That means reducing it a little bit lower. Hop in here. You might need to somehow, I don't know how you're going to get in there and look, but I got to adjust this too. So I'm going to move that to about there, and I'm going to use this little adjuster on the side. All right, that's pretty close. It's probably a bit undersized, so I'm happy with where that's at. Now, normally we drop this on a table and we rotate it so it's very flat. I'm actually not going to do that at all. I'm going to try and hold it here like this with one hand and run around. Sounds, well actually I'm going to go the opposite way too, so I don't bust it out. Sounds a bit crazy, I know, but I just want to show you how you can do this at home with things and it won't actually affect the end result too much. Big drums absolutely will. Smaller drums you can get away with it. I'm going to show you how. So you'll need to put some headphones on, or earmuffs. I'm just going to put mine on too. Get ready for some noise. All right, all good to go. Here we go. Turn this on. I'm actually going to cut in reverse. At the moment, the cutter, see this arrow? The cutter is going that way. Now, if that means if I push this around, I'll demonstrate with a knife, the cutter is actually cutting pieces out like that. I don't want to cut like that because it can be rough. Instead, I want to actually, it's going to cut like this, but I'm going to bring it backwards, which means it's actually cutting with the grain. Let's do it. Okay, show and tell. Come in here. Show and tell time. Let's have a look. Now, you'll notice, as I was going around, I actually tried to move this a little bit and look like it's a bit wobbly. It is pretty stable, right? It's pretty firm there. But I wanted to show you, when I move, how little of an impact it's actually happening. Bit hard to see. Probably best if I just show it like this. Let me have a look. Yep. If you can see in there, I haven't really cut the reinforcement ring yet. I'm still a fraction away from that. But as you can see, that's actually tracking pretty damn good already. Slight high spot or low spot just there. But that's almost had no effect at all, and we're still, check, it's still true. So I'm all happy with that. I'm just going to bring the 12 up to the same place, and then I'll lower it. Here we go. All right, jump in, have a look. You can see here we've got, it's actually hitting on that side there, so it's actually engaging, it's taking the lacquer off the rear ring, but here it's missing. That's because when I measured to this back edge, remember I did a measurement from outside of this edge here to the inside of the bearing edge of the rear ring, because I want the rear ring to be even on the inside, and then I'll change the outside to suit. Okay, so we're good with where we're at now. I want to lower that a fraction. This is how you lower it. With this kind of a system, I can actually say, I can measure this and I can go, it's a stopper on here. I can wind this back. If you look closely in here, you'll see as I wind that, I've got about 1/2 mil. Then I undo the trigger that locks this all down here, and I push that up 1/2 mil. 1/2 mil will probably clean the rest of all that off. I need to keep it fairly flat this time, but we'll just see how it goes. Can you see that? I want to show you, hopefully that's all back now. I want to show you just how little we're taking off. You can just see that little light there, how it's lower and then we're cutting up onto here. It raises up. Can you see it there? Maybe. So if you see that, it's only a fraction. It's like 1/2 millimeter, but that's what we need. We want to take 1/2 mil off so there's no join. Hang on a sec. You're all sorted. Our health and safety officer around here is a little bit slack today, but that's okay. Okay, come on in, have a look. We've now got our 45 cut all on the inside there, exactly right. All we have to do now is do a counter cut on the outside of about 2.5 mil, and these are ready to be lightly sanded, sealed, and reassembled. Let's just do that outer cut. To set that up, I'm using the other side. I don't need to fold this off, but I will. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully it helps you see anyway. So all I'm doing is moving this cutter to the right angle. I'm sliding it down until it's basically hitting. I'm going to lock this in place. I'm going to adjust my depth by pushing this in and moving that up, just so that I know what the depth is. I already know that's right, but let's use a bit of this to see. All right, that's our angle there. So I want to check it on this side. Is it roughly the same? We don't want roughly the same, we want exactly the same. Okay, so it's a little too deep on this piece, so I'm going to lift that up a fraction. So to lift it up, I'm actually just going to disengage, turn this 2 turns, push it back down. Try it again on another little piece. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. So you'll notice the 2 here. Yeah. So this one and this one, that's about the same angle. I'm expecting it to leave me about a millimeter flat on that top edge, which I'll roll over, and I'll show you how to do that too very quickly. Okay, earplugs in. All right, looking good. Here we've got the old one, so the original, and here we've got the new one. Come in pretty close, right in the middle there. The only difference you'll see is this one hasn't been rounded over yet. Now we're going to round that over with some sandpaper. Other than that, we're right back on track and to square one. So all I'm going to do is, I'll just show you how to do it quickly. Okay, let me show you this bit. Does that look strange? All right, for those of you who want to know how to true something up at home, get a board, get a roll of sandpaper, snap a bit off like that. Get yourself a clamp. Put the paper there like, I don't know, however you want. I'll just go like that. Put another board on top like this. Now I've got holes in my bench for this exact reason. This enables me to clamp down as I see fit. Now I don't need any more than just that. Now this is our edge here. Put it down like this. Now all I'm doing is I'm going to do one rotation. Watching here. This is actually just truing off any discrepancy that's left. Like so. Have a look in here, it's actually smoothing that one lead edge. Now that lead edge is set up on a vertical grain, so it gives the most resonance. Now, how true actually is it? Well, let me test all of this with I saw it before. I had a light somewhere. Here it is. I've got a light. The old trick. What I want you to do is I want you to look down here and see if you can see variations in daylight. Now if the bearing edge, as I turn this, isn't flat, you should see lots and lots of daylight. Now I'm not looking, you're looking. Can you see daylight? Are there gaps? What do we got? Yeah, that's actually pretty true. I actually can see a very, very small, ever so slightly. Okay, so checking on my side, I can see a slight high spot. So I know it's here. This is all I'm going to do. I'm actually going to rotate that backwards, forwards on that high spot, and then I'm going to do a full turn. Okay. Might actually take this wrap off so you guys can see it a bit better. Let me just get a knife and cut this. Just joking. Just seeing if you're paying attention. So we don't really need any of this on now. Drum's kept clean. So here is the original edge. Let's move this away. Get our light in there. Let's have a look. Okay. Well, I can actually see the board's got, there's a little bit of movement there in the original edge as I turn that. So, to be really honest, the original edge is slightly not true. In fact, the new one's probably truer. Again, this is not a slab of granite. I get that. I understand. I've got the granite there. I'm showing you how to do it at home. For all those people who are frantically keyboard warrioring right now. Yeah, so the new edge is actually better than the original edge. So that's a success. So that's how you true the bottom. We'll true this one too. All truing is actually where the most important part of your drum. You can have an egg. So I could get a bar, put a bar through here and crank this drum into an oval shape, like an egg. And as long as the top edge, this edge here is true with a plastic head, it will sound great, right? Not optimal, but it will still sound great. This is how we true that one. Ta-da! No, I'm checking for movement this way, left and right. That's all very good. So that's how you true off something that you've got at home. Chuck that away. Lastly, snap a bit of this off. How do we finish this up? Just fold that over, sand it on itself like this. What does that do? It actually makes it smoother than the heart. At the moment, that was, I think, 180 grit, 180 grit. So that probably brings that down to probably 240 at least. Now, I'm going to use the back edge first, which is the 180. Thumb flat on it. I'm just going to give it a smooth around, if you can come in and see. Keeping my finger to make that nice and flat. All right, so that's pretty good. Now use that other side that I was just telling you about. Okay, perfect. In fact, you can't even see where the re-ring is and where the old shell was. That's a pretty nice job. Outside, be careful, especially now that we've taken this off, that you don't hold the sandpaper here when you're doing this outside edge, or you're going to end up with scratches. So to do the outside, I'm just curving that a little, and I'm actually just folding that over so that I'm getting a nice rounded edge. Which is good. Now I've got still a very small edge on the inside here. This is the final bit. I'll do it this way. I'm curving it, this profile, and then I'm just turning the drum around. Like so, keeping that nice and smooth. Like that. While I've got you, let's do this. Now, keep in mind, all I've actually done is 180 grit sandpaper, not much else. This is the new, hang on, which one's the new? There's my top. Okay, that's the new cut edge. This is the original edge. Let's put the two there. Let me get some of my favorite little product, which is this. This is what I use to seal all my bearing edges. I normally do 2 coats. So 1 coat triple O or quadruple O steel wool, 2nd coat, and then I wax. Get an old something, sock. A little bit of that. Come in nice and close so you can see what I'm doing. All right, what I want to show you, I'll put a little bit on this. Remember, this is the existing edge. Existing, that's the top, remember? So, where's my top on this one? There's my top down the bottom, just to show you that we're looking at the opposite end. So here's the new one. Tell me which one looks altered. Absolutely identical in every way. If you come down here, look through here, you can see that the profiles are exactly the same. There is no difference whatsoever between the original and the job that we've just done. I'm going to go ahead and assemble all of these so you don't have to watch that. We'll come together at the end and I'll do a quick wrap up for you. Before I let you go, one last thing I have to decide is our lug position. Remember, we've cut it off and we had to work with a lug position. Now you'll notice, and I can notice it, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see it straight away. There is a difference between here and here. This one is 36 millimeters. And this one is 29, well, it's 30 actually. 29, 30. So I want to see if I can move this forward, but I am governed by that hole. I can, however, do an oblong hole. Okay, so I'm going to move that hole in an oblong, but drill the back one exactly right, and that will get me 34 millimeters. So we will only have a 2 mil difference between either end. I'm just going to do that. You can watch while it's doing its little thing, and I'll get all that drilled up right now and get it all finished, and then we'll come back and say hey at the end. Awesome. See you in a sec. Hey guys, we're all done, all back together again. Let me just check with my measure. So we were 10 by 10. We're now 10 by 8s-ish. 8s, they're 10 by 8s. Anyway, came out really good, happy with that. So I've got them tuned fairly low at the moment. We'll muck around with those a little bit later. Anyway, that's how you do it. I'm Tony Moore. Thanks for watching. That's how you cut down bearing edges. That's how you put floor tom legs onto a rack tom. Anyway, have a great day and tune into the next one. Andy, these are coming your way. Thanks again, mate. All the best. Hey guys, so we've sent the drums back with Andy. He said, mate, they sound awesome, but even better than that, Andy said, do you want me to record them and let you have a listen? So Andy's got a studio at home. He's set up the drums. I'm going to hand it over to Andy. He's going to hit them out and play us all out. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.